What's up, everybody? It's the Bipolar Prophet, and welcome to something new here on the channel. It is Old Ridge Farm Live. This is mostly for the benefit of the people who are going to watch this on YouTube after I upload it. The reason I decided to do this was, well, you know what? I play on Old Ridge every single day. I've said this over and over and over again in every video I've ever made of Old Ridge, that I play on Old Ridge Farm in Farming Simulator 15 for at least a couple of hours, probably 6 days a week. So I decided, you know what, instead of maybe just pumping out videos, why don't we stream it, right? And so people can interact with me while I'm working on Old Ridge Farm, while I'm telling the story, while I'm creating the story, while I'm, you know, feeding off the story that Mike comes up with. So I thought it would be fun for you guys to be able to be interactive, to be able to, you know, sit here and watch it for a little while or whatever. And for those of you who can't watch it on Twitch, for whatever reason, it will go up on YouTube in the regular Old Ridge playlist. And I'm going to do this probably once a week. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to do different games every day and stream them, and those will go up on YouTube as well. Because I'm playing the games anyway. Why not stream, right? I have the technology, I have the ability, so let's stream, let's have some fun. And, you know, let's hang out and play some games, right? So anyway, Old Ridge Farm, here we are. The very first time that I have ever streamed Old Ridge Farm in 3 years of playing on this map. This is the first time I've ever streamed it because, I don't know, even though I'm going to be streaming a lot more now, I still don't really consider myself a streamer so much. But if you're going to start streaming on a regular basis, you know, on a daily basis, say, well, why not start with Old Ridge, right? Everything with me starts with Old Ridge Farm. So anyway, as you can see, it's 5:31 in the morning on a Sunday in the summer, and it's been, you know, it's funny. It's been warm and sunny for about a week here in Old Ridge now. And the day that I decide to do hay, because I really need it, it's going to be cloudy. Go figure, right? But okay, anyway, so so what's been going on in Old Ridge? Well, we'll have a bit of a walk around. For those of you who may not be up with the series, may not be, you know, current with the last episodes, I haven't made any major changes to the map that I haven't shown you guys already. You know, this area here I'm going to use for bale storage. I'm actually going to have the steel building guys that built my my sheds over there come in and build 2 more of those same size sheds so I can store bales, because I need more bales than I have, you know what I mean? I got to buy in bales. I'm going to buy in a ton of bales and just store them up, you know, because I need them. The herd, as you can see, is a 357 milking cows now, on our way to a final number of 500, so going to need all the bales we can get. We are currently, we cut all the barley, we baled it all up, you know, the winter barley that we planted. So that's all done. We're currently in the process of now disking all the fields, and I'm doing it a little differently this time than I normally do. Normally I will go through and cultivate them and then plant on top of them. But this time I picked up a used slurry injector cultivator, and we're going to do it that way. And plus I have so much slurry. Now to do that correctly, I had to pick up a couple other pieces of equipment. I picked up a field container and a slurry shuttle, basically, a tank that I can shuttle slurry back and forth to the field container. It's quicker in this, with this operation, to bring the field container to the field, as opposed to have the whole slurry rig come back to the dairy every, you know, 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever. So that's what we're doing there. And our new hands, Mike is over here, just showing up, actually. Obviously, I get up early. I have to come over and feed the cows and bed them and check on the calves and everything. But Mike is here now. I just got to get him going. They started on the headlands yesterday on field 12 over here, as you can see. So we're about probably halfway done with this field, and we'll get him going on the rest of the field. There's part of the new setup, the field container and one of my portable slurry tanks, which you cannot pull when they're full. You have to shuttle the slurry over because they're so heavy. Even the big case won't pull them. So anyway. Let's get him going on this. Gotta load up all the courses and whatnot. Let's see. Oh no, he's still on the same course. Very good. And you can go and have at it. So Mike will finish this field, refill when he needs to, and all that. So corn. I mentioned this in the last Old Ridge episode. Corn's going to go on all these fields. So hopefully by the end of August, maybe the first week of September, I can cut all this corn for silage, because I'm going to need the silage. You know, you can never have too much silage with a herd this big. So I apologize for the dog and the general chaos going on in the background. You know, every time I try to do anything that requires talking into a microphone, there's going to be dogs barking and yelling and screaming. There's not much I can do about that. So it is what it is. But anyway, so that's going on. And then we have, yes, we have all these straw bales to stack, which is what I'll be doing after all of everybody else gets going. Our other new hand, once we have a big tab around here, oh yeah, Chad's got to bring me that straw too at some point. Let's see, click out of that, click out of that. Our other new hand is going to mow this, start mowing the meadows, because we need the hay. I got to have the hay. I'm running really low on it. So I'm going to be doing a lot of things. I'm going to be stacking bales, shuttling slurry, and coming in behind Roy here, our newest hand, to ted all this grass. He's just going to go from meadow to meadow to meadow and cut everything. So let's see. First waypoint, drive this course, get fired up. Obviously, this is our newest acquisition here on the farm, the Fent 718. So he's going to go off and mow our new, what I call the new meadow, although now it's been around long enough that it's not really new anymore. And that thing is really, really loud, unfortunately, so I apologize for that. If it's so loud that you can't hear me, I apologize. I do have the game sounds turned way down, both in the game and with Xsplit. So if it's really loud, I apologize. But, okay, you're going to go on and do your thing, and you're not going to require a whole lot of interaction from me for that. So let's see, how full are you? 2200, and the field container is full. He'll call me when he needs more anyway, so no worries about that. What I would very much like to do today, you know, it's funny, yesterday, I normally don't have the guys work on Sundays. You know, during harvest season, obviously, we'll work on Sundays. During planting season, we'll work on Sundays. I work every day, as you would expect, because of the cows and everything. But normally, I don't have the guys work on Sundays. I pay them time and a half when they work on Sundays. I think it's only fair. So yesterday, I sent them both home at about noontime and said, you know, be here at 5:30 Sunday morning, because, you know, we've got a lot of stuff to do. I've got to get this corn in the ground. So what I'm hoping to do is be able to get, you know, these meadows cultivated and injected, these fields cultivated and injected, and then, you know, go right into planting, because we got to get the corn in the ground, because I need this corn to be up by preferably the last of August, probably closer to the first week of September. So we can cut it, you know, so we don't run out of silage. I got one pit of grass silage. I've got quite a few silage bales left. You know, I feed my cows about 65 tons of mixed rations twice a day. So do the math, you know, that's a lot of mixed rations. It's a lot of material to make them. So I need a lot of stuff, you know, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to plant corn on every field that didn't have sugar beets in it after the barley was cut. So, okay, he's going to come over here and fill up now and do his thing. So this, I just refilled the field container, so should be okay with that. The field container holds about 3 loads of the slurry. The slurry tanker will take 3 loads off of that before it's empty, so I should be okay. In fact, he might actually get this field done. But anyway, let's stack some bales. Now, those of you who know me, those of you who've been around with me for a very long time, know how I do this. I use, make sure it's on, first of all, enable automatic loading, yep. From the CZZ forks that I use here, just because it makes it easier for me. It makes it easier for me to grab a neat stack of bales. So. Oh, this is not Farm Sim 17 BP. I'm seriously considering picking up another one of those long bale trailers that I have too. I talked to Chad a couple days ago about trying to find me one, because I'm moving so many bales now. It wouldn't probably be a bad idea to sort of road train those together and be able to haul, you know, instead of 18 bales, be able to haul 36 bales at a time. Because I mean, obviously, I go through a lot of bales, so. You know, I just had straw brought in 5 days ago, and I'm already down to, you know, this little bit, so. I haven't done any loader work in a while. I got to get used to it again. No, you got to come off the forks, though. Got to remember to lower the bales all the way to the ground, BP, otherwise they won't come off the floors. There we go. You know, this is the stuff that gets done every single day on Old Ridge, you know. Something's always... is it easier if I go this way? Yeah, something needs to be done on a farm, and this farm isn't particularly massive by any means. But it is big enough that, you know, with the size of the dairy herd and everything, that, you know, cows need to be fed twice a day. They need to be bedded once a day. Calves need to be bedded and fed. You know, stuff needs to be moved around. Stuff needs to be refilled. The mix station needs to be refilled, you know, at least twice a day, because I empty it out completely twice a day, so... Now, there's probably going to be a little bit of lag as I fill this up, because as everybody knows in FarmSim 15, the more things you put next to other things, the more lag you get, but it's not too awful, so... And the weather affects my frame rates a little bit, plus I'm streaming, so, you know, but it's not too bad, so. You know, and again, this is going to be probably a weekly show here on the channel, you know, once a week we come to Old Ridge. Once a week we'll go to Drummer, you know, and see what Phil and Perry are up to. Because they, as I mentioned in yesterday's stream with the Monkey Show, they have told me, you know, they're not coming back. They were going to come back and help me with the harvest and maybe some of this corn planting and stuff, but they just can't. They're too busy over at Drummer to really, you know, fly back and forth all the time, so... And I understand that, you know, that's why we hired the two new hands, Mike and Roy. Gotta have them. I can't do it all myself. You know, just taking care of the dairy herd is becoming really a full-time job for one guy, you know. And if I could get it so that, you know, I could do it all automated, you know, obviously in the game that's almost impossible, but if I could, I would hire another hand to do the dairy farm so I could do all the sort of utility tasks that need to be done around the farm. But I have no problem taking care of the dairy herd. Otherwise, I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't be working on trying to get to a 500 head number. I will say that, you know, thank the people who made these forks, because while they may not be the best thing in the world in FarmSim 17, and I will say that the latest update of these for FarmSim 17 has made them much better, they are absolutely fantastic for FarmSim 15. It would take me 5 hours to stack all these bales, you know, without, if I had to use some sort of dynamic lock or whatever. You know, this way it makes it very easy. It picks them up nice and neatly. I don't have to worry so much about, you know, if I bump into a pole there or a support or whatever, because they're not real objects until you unlock them. So anybody who may watch this either on Twitch or later on YouTube and is maybe new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Second of all, this is, you know, this is Old Ridge Farm. This is what you hear me talk about all the time. This particular location, this particular map, and this particular game, FarmSim 15, are really the meat and potatoes, bread and butter, you know, whatever, of Bipolar Profit Gaming. This is kind of how it all got started. Now, I did make some FarmSim 13 videos, which were horrible, you know, bad frame rates and bad, you know, bad video quality, bad audio quality, the whole thing. But I did make some. But FarmSim 15 was really where I decided that I was going to make a real sort of, you know, concerted effort to make good videos. And this is where I started telling the story and, you know, and everything else. Now, for those of you who may not know, you know, what Old Ridge Farm is, or what... Can I get this a little closer? No. Listen. Okay, well, that gives me the opportunity to straighten them out, at least. Old Ridge Farm is basically, it is probably the closest thing to a real persistent world that you're going to get out in a single-player game. You know, now this isn't on a server. This isn't a multiplayer thing. It is, you know, it is my personal game. This is my personal version of Old Ridge Farm. Old Ridge Farm was a map that came out pretty quickly after FarmSim 15 came out, made by what was then the SOB modding team, now the OEB modding team. And it was the first map that I looked at for FarmSim 15, where I said, wow, I really want to play on that map. You know, occasionally you'll get that map where you'll just be like, oh, I want to play on that, you know what I mean? And David Oldfield, a member of the OEB modding team, did a lot of map previews of this, was doing a sort of Let's Play on it before the map was released, and I watched every single one of those episodes, and I was absolutely amazed at the quality and the, you know, just the functionality of the map, and the way the map felt. It just felt right, even though I wasn't even playing on it yet. So when it was released, you know, I was actually kind of nervous. I was actually nervous to do a Let's Play on this map because it was so good that I was afraid I was going to screw it up. Now, those of you who know me know that I am fumbly and I'm bumbly and I ramble and, you know, and I cut off in the middle of a sentence and do something else or whatever. And I didn't want to make this map look like I was being an idiot, you know. So episode 1 through about episode, I don't know, 30, I guess, because at the time I had this number in my head that I was doing 30 episode Let's Plays, because I had done 35 on Bjornholm, you know, the other map, one of the maps that came with FarmSim 15, because I liked the map so much. And I figured I'd do 30, you know, plus or whatever on this map. Well, about episode 35, my good friend Mike, Reefy 1952, Mirrorman, however you happen to know him, started. Well, he had been playing on Old Ridge since the day it was released, but he had started to comment on my videos, and we became friends. And I sort of harangued him into making a video to show me his Old Ridge farm. You know, it was the first time that I had ever played on a map that somebody else was playing on. You know, basically doing the same things. So I was curious to see what he was doing on Old Ridge Farm. So he made one video, and then he made another video, and then he made another video, and then he started to work on a story. David Oldfield was really the first person to sort of bring the story to Old Ridge. He had come here, you know, he had some calamities. You know, one of his tractors got stolen and, you know, dumped in the creek, and then he decided he wanted to move, and he was gonna, because he wanted to move maps. And so he was selling Old Ridge Farm, and you know, Cuthbert was introduced by David Oldfield. You know, Crazy Pete, the first person that I know of to name Courseplay. You know, Courseplay being an automation script for FarmSim 15, which is fantastic, and I couldn't do this series without it. But you know, he really got it started, and then Mike picked it up and started to flesh out Old Ridge in a way that made it a real live place. Now, we have never sort of pinpointed where Old Ridge is, aside from the fact that it's in England somewhere. It is a British-style map. So we just said, well, it's in England somewhere. Let's keep it that way. But so he started to flesh out the story. Now, those of you who've been around for a long time know most of the story. It is very much a soap opera. There's the good guys, which is us and Mike and Justin and the Major, you know, Cuthbert now, although in the beginning he definitely wasn't one of the good guys. And you have your bad guys, which in this case is almost predominantly the Crawford Browns. The money-hungry, power-grabbing, you know, just could give a rat's ass about the farmers, you know, power couple of this area. You know, they both sit on the council. They're both very powerful, very rich, and really are only concerned with how they make themselves more powerful, more rich, and more and endear themselves to, you know, higher and higher levels of the social hierarchy, as it were. So, and the great thing about that was it gave us something to do, because I mean, let's face it, unless you're very much into FarmSim can be a little boring, right? Especially when you're doing the same, you're on a map for a long time and you're doing the same things over and over and over again. It can get a little boring. You know, not so much for me because I enjoy it so much, but for other people, and especially if you're making videos, why not tell a good story? And I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you're new to the channel and you haven't watched any of Reefy 1952's videos of Old Ridge, or any other videos that he makes for that matter, go watch them, because the stories he tells are, he's so much a better storyteller than I am, you know what I mean? Oops, yeah, could you crash into your very expensive Bipolar? Almost all the story hook that is in Old Ridge has been started by him and then picked up by me. He's a fantastic storyteller, and his, you know, the links to his channel, along with everybody else, all my friends, you know, the group we call the Monkey Show, are in the description of every video I put out. They're on the Twitch description, so, you know, definitely worth checking out. Also, you know, to sort of catch up to the story, to where it sort of coincides for both of us. You know, I don't know, Old Ridge is one of those maps that I couldn't ever imagine not playing on it. And you know, and I realized I was still making Old Ridge videos. You know, I made an Old Ridge video the day FarmSim 17 came out, because I was more interested in playing Farm Sim 15 still than I was Farm Sim 17. And to be honest, Farm Sim 15 is my home. This is the game. This is, you know, where I'm most comfortable. Whenever I have a bad time, whenever I have to take an extended break from recording or from streaming or from doing any of the other things that I do, you know, content-wise, I always come back to Old Ridge because it's where I feel most comfortable. It's where I know what to do. It's where I don't have to think about too much over here, you know what I mean? I know the cows are going to need to be fed. I know, you know, bales are going to need to be made. You know, fields are going to need to be sprayed. Things are going to need to be done. And I think Mike kind of feels the same way, you know. And Mike's got a lot of great series going on. Now, he's playing on the incredibly well-converted Old Ridge Farm 17 version, which has not been released to the public yet because OEB hasn't given Darren Cassell, the person who actually converted it, permission to release it yet. And I hope they do. So, as I say a lot, that the next generation of Old Ridge farmers can, you know, come and move in and enjoy this. I really believe that if there were a Hall of Fame for maps, you know, that this map would absolutely deserve to be on it, because I really believe this map may have changed the way that people play Farm Sim, you know what I mean? There's a lot of role-play series out there now, and I'm not saying I created it by any means, or that Mike created it, you know. I'm sure there was a lot of people out there that I'd never heard of, you know, on YouTube or whatever, you know, doing role-play stuff. But I think the longevity of Old Ridge and the story and the way the story sort of, you know, evolved over time, I think it changed the way some people play Farm Sim, you know, in general, whether it be 15 or 17, 13, whatever. I actually did a sort of role-play all the way in character series in Farm Sim 13 on the Iowa map, where I was in character all the time. You know, I pretended to be somebody else and all that. Role-play comes natural to me because, and geek moment alert, because of the fact that I have been playing Dungeons & Dragons, the tabletop version of Dungeons & Dragons, for, oh geez, when did it come out? 1979? Since then, you know, many years I've been playing. So, pretending, you know, being in your head and pretending to be somebody else is not something that's foreign to me. You know, so even though I'm technically me in this story, you know, pretending, you know, creating other characters and creating stories and creating scenarios and all that sort of stuff is not really that foreign to me. It's something that comes very natural to me. So. And as I said, Mike is just a fantastic storyteller. You know, and there's other people involved in this story. You know, we have Shawnee B, who isn't here physically, but will always be part of the story. You know, we have guys like Chad, who is, you know, a subscriber of mine, a good friend of mine, a good friend of Mike's. You know, he's our dealer. He's been our dealer for years now. Listen, can you not, just, even though the JCB's paid for, can we not break it, please? You know, guys like Nick Crisford, my agronomist. You know, he's the guy who, you know, I send my soil samples to, and you know, he looks at my soil and he says, okay, you need to do this and this and this, and, you know, he writes me a prescription for the season. You know, follow this, and this will be your best chance to get a yield. If I have a problem with soil, you know, if I have a problem with acidity or pH or anything like that, he's the guy who tells me what to do about it. So, you know, and then there's a whole list of people who have become involved in the Old Ridge story over time. And I think that's pretty neat. Now, I know a lot of YouTubers and a lot of streamers will get their, you know, viewers involved with various things, but I can't remember another one where they're so involved in the story of the game, you know? And that all comes down to you guys, and I couldn't, you know, this wouldn't really happen without you. Without you guys being involved and wanting to watch, you know, almost 150 episodes of this. After all these, oh, I stacked these up badly. After all these, you know, nearly 3 years of being on this map. You know, now, would I continue to play on Old Ridge? Of course I would. I would still play on Old Ridge regardless, you know what I mean? Because I like it. And it's funny because my good friend Moondog, who is actually, you know, who Mike is named after, my hand Mike here, he asked me yesterday, he says, you know, no, I'm sorry, it was Travis, another good friend of mine, another member of the Monkey Show. He says, I bet when you play single player on Old Ridge, you still talk to Phil and Perry and everything. And yeah, I do. Even when I'm not recording, even when I'm not, you know, doing anything, you know, streaming or anything. This is a real live place. It is as close to a real live place as I think you're going to get in a game. That's not, you know, multiplayer. That doesn't run constantly 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? So that's kind of, you know, for anybody who may be new to Old Ridge, this is what Old Ridge is. It is, in my head, and I know in Mike's head, a real live place. Things happen even when we're not here, you know? Now, you know, obviously the last maybe month or so, it's been a little slower story-wise because Mike, you know, has had his health issues. I've had my health issues. I've had my, you know, motivation issues and all that sort of stuff. But things still happen. You know what I mean? And there's always ideas. You know, there's always like, oh, you know, this happened, or the Crawford Browns did that, or whatever. You know, the really big thing with the Crawford Browns now is that they're really, you know, Mr. Crawford Brown especially is trying to buy up all the open land in the area. You know, Old Ridge is obviously is a not a financial, but a agricultural area. You know, it always has been. Mike's family's been here forever. You know, and there's farms that have been here for a very, very long time. And, you know, the crop, because it's country, because it's pretty, because it's on a very nice river with a beautiful waterfall and a lot of nice open areas, you know, for people to go and have picnics and hike and all that, and fish and, you know, and all that sort of stuff. The Crawford Browns just see it as a big housing estate, you know what I mean? They wanna park as many, you know, $1-million houses as they can in these, you know, pretty little areas, to get all their rich friends in, because where the money is, that's where the power is, right? Well, the problem is that the farmers are in the way, right? You know, it's dirty, stinky, you know, loud, waking up at, you know, midnight to go to work and work until the, you know, the following midnight. Farmers. Well, people from the city don't want that, you know what I mean? So that's kind of, that's kind of our, I don't know, that's kind of the constant battle we have with the Crawford Browns. You know, and then of course there was the cult that Mrs. Crawford Brown sort of started, you know, the whatever it was called, the Association for a Better Britain, or whatever it was called. I don't even remember. You know, where she basically attacked anybody who wasn't married, anybody who wasn't British, you know, anybody who had maybe any kind of alternative lifestyle, like me. You know, I'm an American living in England, you know, farming in England, you know, not married, not particularly church going or anything like that, and she definitely attacked me. You know, but that's again another really cool part of the story, and it is very much a soap opera, but I think that's what makes it fun. It's a soap opera with some farming in between it, and it, you know, sort of in between it, which is, you know, what more could you ask for? You know, even the most mundane task on Old Ridge, it feels, you know, because I know that I'm going to be on this map tomorrow, I'm going to be on it next week, I'm going to be on it probably next year, you know what I mean? So this is a continuation of stuff that needs to be done. You know, because in the end, all of this stuff is for the cows, and the cows are the #1 priority here for me on my Old Ridge. So I have no issue stacking a couple hundred bales, plus the, you know, 100 that Chad's going to bring me at some point. You know, I have no issue with that whatsoever. It needs to be done. I should probably go have a look at the field container and see how that's doing, though. I'm pretty sure he probably has enough to get through the field. He hasn't said, you know, I haven't got a message down there that says, you know, hey, I need to be refilled. So I see we have 204,000 liters of milk. Now, obviously, you know, I can't control how much milk the cows make unless I sort of tamper with their feed. If I didn't feed them mixed rations, say, and only fed them silage, I could definitely probably decrease the amount of milk that they make. But I don't really want to do that, you know, because it's all tied in together, all the work that's tied in together to do, to, you know, sustain a herd this big and a growing herd at that. It's what makes the farm, so. And I can't sell milk till tomorrow. So we'll have probably another 80,000 liters by then. You know, again, not making very much money, not really making any money on the milk. Making a tiny little trickle of profit only because of the amount of milk I'm selling, but not really making any yet. The milk crisis here in the UK is, I can't say it's over because it's really not, but it is definitely better than it was. That bottom bale is in the ground, yeah. Definitely don't want to release those bales while they're in the ground. They'll become a real thing and just freak out. Yep. I can hear Roy over there with the mowers. Those fella mowers are so loud. But you know what? They were a good deal. They were, you know, for used mowers. You know, just put some new knives on them and greased everything up. Chad, you know, and Jordan obviously took care of that for me. And they've been working really well for, you know, almost a year now, and I'm pretty happy with them, so. don't know how many bales I got off this. From these bales here are all from the barley harvest that we did from the winter barley. I don't know. I didn't get a number of how many they were. It's quite a few, but they won't last very long. I'll go through these a couple weeks probably, and then it'll be calling up Chad and having him deliver me more bales. I got a bale delivery coming in the next day or so anyway. So you can see the lag now from me smashing these bales together. That's just kind of the deal with Farm Sim 15. It doesn't happen so much in 17, but as soon as I get away from it, it gets better. The frame rates probably aren't as good as they could be, only because it's foggy and it's early in the morning, and I've got a lot of Courseplay doing a lot of things right now. So, but they're not awful. I can certainly live with it. I don't know how long these videos will be. Normally when I stream with the Monkey Show guys, I stream for a couple hours. I don't know that these will be that, and I can't guarantee that that I'm going to stream something every day. I'm going to try. If I go an hour and a half every day, I think that's pretty good, right? And just so you guys are aware, that's going to happen. So you may want to keep an eye on your notifications from Twitch. If you are not following me on Twitch, make sure you follow me, and make sure you turn your notifications on so that you know when I'm going live. I will try to put up a video on YouTube, half an hour, 20 minutes. This time it was literally like 2 minutes before I went live, I put up the video. But this was sort of a spur-of-the-moment idea I had, too. But I try to put up a video on YouTube, try to put it up on Facebook, too. So if you don't follow me at Bipolar Prophet Gaming on Facebook, make sure you do that as well. Yeah, it is so much more enjoyable doing this with an auto-loading fork. As opposed to maybe a dynamic fork. Again, and I've been stacking bales a long time. I've been playing Farm Sim a long time. And I've stacked tens of thousands of bales. And there are guys out there who, still can blow me away with their stacking ability. I've never really been that guy. I've never really, it's always taken me some, some automation, some sort of, trickery to be able to stack bales correctly. And I don't mind this one bit, this isn't... I mean, I could just grab 3 of these bales, certainly, you know what I mean? Lock them to the forks and go about my day, but this just makes it easier, I don't have to worry about it quite so much. So. Normally, in case anybody's curious, I would stack these on top of each other, but I sort of forgot this time. So, sort of stuck with a single stack. I could probably extend the boom out and stack them up. I may have to, because I don't think they're all going to fit under the shed this way. So... I mean, I could move that stuff in the middle and bring this stack of bales over, because I'll never get enough hay bales to fill up 2 full sheds of hay bales. Plus, realistically, it's a little easier to stack them 3 high as it is to stack them 6 high. So even with this, they get a little wiggly at height. So. Now, of course, in Farm Sim 15, it doesn't matter. You inside a shed, outside a shed, it makes no difference. They're going to get, if it rains, they're going to get rained on, you know what I mean? But because I have bale extension on, it doesn't really... Now, can I grab this bale without making a massive mess? Yes, I can. The good thing about bale extension is, obviously, it sort of makes each bale... Can I... One more bale, please. It sort of makes each bale a little different. But straw bales are pretty consistent across the board, Thank you. No. Sort of morphed into... Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Sometimes this will happen with these. You'll get this weird sort of morph deal going on where you'll get a bale stuck to the bottom of other bales. Now, if I can get it off... Now, see, this is something you probably wouldn't see in a video. Let me try this. Thank you. And of course, you're right in the way now. If you don't get 3 right off the bat, sometimes you'll get that where one bale will morph into another bale. It's not so much the bale fork's fault as it is the bales themselves. It's just the way the farming simulator bales work. So. No, I completely forgot what I was talking about a minute ago. Oh well, I'm sure it'll come back to me. Yeah, we're getting a fair bit of lag now, but we're gonna, and don't worry, because like I said, these bales will all go away very quickly. So, you know, you figure that mix station holds, 30,000 liters, or what I call a ton. You know, I pretty much equate everything to a ton. So it holds 30 tons, say, of each thing, except for silage. It doesn't hold quite that much silage. So, you know, it's quite a bit, especially when you got to fill it up twice a day, so you go through a lot of bales. Now, don't do this again. I'm not sure why it's doing this. Generally, I'll have this issue once or twice, but not constantly like this, so, interesting. Okay, well, whatever gets it done. What I really need to do is pick up these single bales, because it's the single bales sometimes that, you know, when you rub, like, if you rub a balloon, right, against your hair, and then it sticks to everything, that's kind of what happens with the bales. They sort of become static-y almost, you know what I mean? Where they like to stick to each other. Come on. I mean, that's a lot of bales stacked on top of each other, no doubt. So. Alright, we'll grab this one, and then grab these other two loose ones. And maybe that will solve the problem. I'll be a little bit more careful about how I grab a whole, a stack at a time. So, 2, come on, give me this one now. Give me that one. I can't go any lower in the ground, so just give it to me. This is sometimes where this gets fiddly, because of the way that the triggers work. To pick up the bales, you have to sort of, because it doesn't want to pick up this top one, because I can't get the bales low enough to pick it up. So, come on, give it to me. There we go. There we go. Now all the singles are picked up. It should be okay. That's the only time these bale forks really get fiddly, is when stuff like that happens, and it's almost always my fault. Pretty much the only problems I ever have with Farm Sim are created by me. You know, when I try to make Farm Sim do stuff that it was never designed to do, or I try to make Courseplay do things that it was never designed to do, or I sort of bypass procedures on how to use certain things. So, what is the story here? What are you doing? Why are you sticking out so far? There you go. No, I want the lag. I want the 4 frames a second while I smash all those bales together. I mean, they got to be stacked, so. You know, and I'm at the point in the game. You know, and that's the other thing. You can, depending on how you play the game, you know, you don't ever have to put that many bales together. You know what I mean? You don't. But because I play the game on what I call a 1-to-1 ratio, where one day is one day in the game is one day in real life, with, you know, the occasional fast forward, obviously, if I'm, you know, there's nothing to do. Cows have been fed, bales have been stacked, and everything else, and I need my crop to grow. But, you know, I try to keep it 1-to-1, so I need this many bales. Because I won't have any bales again until, you know, I order them. And until next, you know, June, say, end of May, you know, 1st of June, when I cut the barley that I put in the fall to, you know, to sit for the winter. So I need to stack this. I need this many bales. I just realized this thing needs fuel. I think it's about the 4th or 5th time I filled this up. Now, I use it a lot more now, obviously, than I ever did before. Because I'm moving so many more bales, and I'm, you know, loading the mix wagon all the time now. And, you know, before it was basically just used to stack bales, move manure around, things like that. You know, now it's really a constant. I'm using this, you know, twice a day, every single day, sometimes for hours at a time. So it's getting a lot of hours on it. You know, this was one of the best purchases I made. I love this thing. You know, that's the other thing. Probably, maybe I should explain to people who, again, you know, maybe new to the channel. Hey, David, how you doing? Sorry, I'm not on Discord. I just decided to jump on and do this Old Ridge Live thing. But maybe the people who are new to the channel and don't really know, you know, the sort of, I don't know, the format or whatever of this series. I don't buy new equipment very often. Now, I did buy the Fent not too long ago for the sole reason that the class Axion I was using, I must have had a conflict. I have a lot of scripts running, not only in my mod folder, but... Oh, thanks, David. I'm glad. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I have a lot of scripts running, not only in my... Oh, Mike is done? Okay. In my, mod folder, but in the map itself. So, I think I had a mod conflict with the class Axion somewhere, because that had a lot of scripts on it. That had a lot of sort of dynamic suspension scripts and things like that. And the front hydraulics kept sagging down. And it was annoying me. I sent it off to Chad. Jordan had a look at it. He had to send it off to the Kloss guys. To get it. It was up in Manchester at the big Kloss facility up there. For 2 weeks I didn't have a tractor. Chad gave me a loaner JCB. And, I got it back. The axles were, the axles had sort of given up on it, and then the front hydraulics started to go on it. And I just said, you know what? I'm not interested in dealing with this tractor anymore. So I traded it in for a Fendt with a ton of hours on it. Fendt's got 6,537 hours. But it works really good. The CVT box is still strong on it, and, Jordan ran through it and everything. And it works good. And I tell you what, Roy has told me, on numerous occasions now, and a couple times that he's used it, that he really likes it. It's his favorite tractor. So, okay. But I don't buy new equipment on the farm. I'm not constantly rotating equipment in and out of the farm because I'm trying to run this as realistically as possible. And real farmers don't do that. You're going to keep a tractor for 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 hours until it just completely knackered and doesn't work anymore. So that's, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. So it isn't, this isn't mod showcase stuff. This isn't anything like that. It's just a farm with the same equipment on it, using it every day until it gets worn out, and buying new equipment. Now, I do buy equipment occasionally because I need it. I needed a bigger rake, so I bought a bigger rake. That's used as well. I needed a square baler and some sort of shuttle system because I needed it, because I do so many bales, so I bought that. I needed something to store slurry in, so I had, the guys from UK Agri come in and build me 2 new, slurry retention tanks. Things like that. That's always going to happen. But as far as tractors go, well, I've had the same, my Case Pumas, I should say, because they're both Pumas. I've had them for, pretty much the entire time I've been on this map. Every farm needs one big tractor, and that's my big Case, premium black edition that, Chad had sort of bought from a show, from a ag show, it was all sort of pimped out with all the, it's painted special colors, and it's got all the bells and whistles and everything. It's 270 horsepower. It's been chipped up a little bit. And it's a great tractor, and he gave me a great deal on it. Now I'm still paying for it because it was that expensive. But every farm needs one big tractor, right? So I've got a 270. I've got a what is the Puma? 210, I think. And then I've got the 718, which is 180. So I've got a pretty good range. They're all similar in horsepower range, but they're different sizes, basically, different weights, so they're better at different things. The big Case basically does all the heavy tillage. It pulls the, it pulls the plow, it pulls the big cultivator, things like that. Where the little Puma, I call it the little Puma, but the smaller Puma basically is, the yard tractor, does a lot of the seeding, feeds the cows, things like that. And then this, obviously, being a telehandler, moves every bale, fills up the machine, moves all the bales off the fields and everything. So that's why this gets so many hours on it. Plus, the fact that, when I bring in 100 plus bales like this, and they need to be stacked, well, it takes a certain amount of time. So, and I get this is probably not the most exciting thing in the world, but one thing I can do while I'm stacking bales this way is I can, oh, that's what I was afraid of. See, now we're starting to get into where I've got a few too many bales over here, and they're starting to wig out on me, so. Oh, that's going to be a problem. Okay. Well, going to have to come up with another place to store bales. This is why I want the steel building guys to come in and build me 2 new steel buildings over at the other, over at the, the main farm where the house is, because I just don't have enough bale storage. Now, I could move that stuff to do them, and I probably will, but not right this second. So, Okay, I got to get Roy onto another meadow, so let me just tab around. There we go. Shut you off for a minute so I can see what's going on. Let's see. You done over here? Yeah, you're done over here. So you need to fold all this stuff up first of all. Okay. And fold. Yep, nope, fold you up. No, fold BBX. Am I not on that thing? Why do you keep... Oh, I know why. Because I haven't stopped the driver yet. Jeez, BP, have you never used Courseplay before? See, this is the stuff, if you're new to the channel, that you're going to get from me occasionally. You're going to get the, what the hell is going on? Why can't I make this do what I want it to do? Okay, it is properly cloudy now. And when it gets cloudy here at Old Ridge, it gets cloudy. This is a fantastic tractor. I love this tractor. I was so happy. You know, Ago, everybody probably knows who Ago is. He was the guy, you know, he was the guy who did the John Deeres. He's the guy who did these fence. You know, for Farm Sim 13, and they were doing things in Farm Sim 13 that I didn't think were possible in that game. You know, and then somebody took the time to get the permission to convert them to 15 and do a very good job. You know, there's some things in this that it doesn't do that it did do in 13, but you know what? It works. It works with Courseplay. It doesn't crash. It's not so script laden that it, you know, makes the game go crazy or anything. So I'm thrilled, and I was absolutely thrilled to find this. You know, now I found this while people were playing Farm Sim 17, so that goes to show you. You know, I'm down here hunting down. Oh, you know, meadow we should do next because you'll be on it for a while. The compost meadow. You know, I'm around hunting for Farm Sim 15 mods still. You know, way more than I hunt for Farm Sim 17 mods. Look out! Crash through a cow. Almost every mod that I have for Farm Sim 17 comes from the mod hub, whereas very few of the mods that I have for Farm Sim 15 come from the mod hub. So now, is that thing empty or is he just hanging out? If it's empty, oh, you know what? If it's not completely, if you can't get 18,500 liters off it, he won't. He'll just sit there. So I'm gonna have to. Once I get Roy going down here, I'm gonna have to get that filled up again. Otherwise, I'm just paying Mike to sit there and do nothing. Whoa! Slow down, Roy. I mean, yeah, this is a Fent, but she's still got 6,538 hours on it. I don't want to break the front end off. You have to forgive the little lag spikes, too. This map is not, my version of this map, I should be absolutely clear, is not the most optimized thing in the world, because I just throw stuff into it, you know, and then go about my day. All the i3Ds are still in it, which are, you know, it's stupid. You know, you could definitely take all those out and, you know, speed up loading times and everything. And the lights, you know, everybody knows lights in Farm Sim, not so much, right? But these guys are going to turn their lights on. There's not much I can do about that, so. Okay, mowing. Mow compost meadow. Yes, that's you. Now, I don't know where the start point is. Well, that's not it. How about you just... I know where it is. It's on the other side of the field. You just drive over there. I mean, I can't see my hand in front of my face. It's so foggy. This is the thing about living in a valley. When the fog comes down, and it comes down... and I mean, it'll honestly go from being, you know, a nice sunny day to being a foggy day like this, and you can't see anything. I mean, if I get in a tractor, that's how much I can see. You know, it's pretty, the fog here is pretty intense, but that's, you know, what happens when you live down in the, and this is the lower part of the valley. Like, where up where Justin and the Major live is the higher part of the valley. The valley obviously slopes down as the river sort of cuts through it, right? So they don't get the fog quite as bad, but they get more weather. They'll get more rain, more thunderstorms. When the rare time it does snow here at Old Ridge, they'll get more snow. We hardly ever get snow down here because we're sheltered by the valley. And of course, the Crawford Browns live right on the lake, you know, so they've got the prime piece of real estate, I guess, around here. I guess you could say. Not to me, you know what I mean. I like my real estate. I'm happy with what I have, so. All right, right. have at it. Mow me some grass. Grass is in really good shape. You know, I'm not going to worry about that acidity, because if I put down any kind of lime on this field, it'll go so far the other way. So as long as it's in the 6.3, 6.4 range. Now, did I cut this tree down enough for you? You know, the other thing I'm noticing about this particular tractor and these particular mowers is, though, they don't lift the back the tractor doesn't lift the back mowers enough, and I think it's because of those tires. Those tires are really big and lower profile than, say, a regular, you know, non-flotation tire would be. And I think that's part of the problem. But I like those flotation tires, and to be honest, I don't really want to send it off to... Or, I mean, I could go buy tires, certainly. I could get a set of tires from Chad, you know, and bolt them on there. But, I don't know. I can live with it, you know. If the worst it does is, you know, cuts the grass around in a circle, I'm okay with that. Okay, now I gotta go see what's going on with this guy, which I'm pretty sure he is probably... Turn on the beacons. That field container is probably empty, so I'm gonna have to go fill it up. Nope, forward. How are the cows doing? 62? Yeah, they're still good. Probably could use some water too at some point. Then what I want to do is, after I fill this up and get him going, get Mike going again, I'm going to grab the tedder and I'm going to go ted the new meadow. Because, of course, it's cloudy and misty and foggy on the day that I want to do hay. Here's the thing with the weatherman, right? Weatherman everywhere in the world doesn't matter, you know. And we have some pretty good weather out here. You know, I could tap into the National Weather Service and all that, like everybody else can, right? You know, oh, sunny and clear, you know, warm yet again. Right. Well, what happened to that? It's warm. It certainly is warm. It's not windy at all, and it's certainly not sunny. I need a little bit of wind and a little bit of sun to dry up my hay, you know. Well, you know what? I just have to turn it a couple times, I guess. Normally I only turn it twice. Guess I'm going to have to turn it more than twice now. This may not be the best tractor in the world for this, because slurry, as you guys know, is very heavy, and this thing, you can see, I mean, it's struggling just to turn it, but it's the only tractor I have to spare at the moment, so. I also think, yeah, see, I think there might be an issue with the steering axles on this. This is another used piece of equipment, and I think the steering axles are getting stuck. So I may have to send this off to Jordan and have him look at it. I don't... yeah, see, I think the steering axles are stuck. That's what I think is going on. Maybe the hydraulics that make the steering, that actuate the wheels back and forth, they may be stuck or low on fluid or whatever, so... Because, I mean, this tractor is not particularly weak. And yes, 30,000 liters of slurry is very heavy. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the problem. Jeez. I might have to do this sooner than later. The problem with that is it's going to be down there. Now, what are you slipping on? The problem is, if I do that, it's going to be down at Chad's for a week, you know? Roy, what are you slipping on, Roy? Did you figure it out? Okay, good. Whenever you get a new hand on a new, you know, on a field that maybe they haven't worked on before, there's always going to be a little bit of that. Oh, listen. Move along, thank you. Oh, they get so mad. They get so mad. Like, this is our road. This is where we cross from our pasture to our food. Right. I know it's yours. I'm sorry. Now, what's going on down here? Why do I have... Why are there two field containers down here? What is that all about? I should only have one field container. Oh, I know why. I never put it back. I moved it and never put it back. Wow, you're a wicked idiot. Okay. Don't crash into it. Just refill it. Is it... I don't remember what the overloader button is. Is it... Oh, it's up. See, even, you know, this is the kind of stuff that happens at Old Ridge. I'm like, oh, I moved that for some reason and I forgot. Also, I've discovered that this thing jumps around a lot. So, if it moved anymore, it would have ended up in the river. So I'm glad I caught it when I did. Courseplay, right? Now, in real life, your hand would be like, oh, I'm going to unhook. I'll pull that back over, right? Well, Coursplay's not gonna. It's just going to sit there. Mike's just sitting there on his phone, you know, messing around, waiting for me. Okay, well, here I am. Got to get back to work. I got to get this corn in the ground. I'm going to have 400 cows to feed by come fall, so... Well, maybe not. Maybe not 400. Maybe like 370-ish, probably, to feed come over the winter, so... Okay, you're empty, which is perfect. I can actually leave you over here for the moment, because we've already done the headlands, so... You stay there. Now, this is going to be a treat, trying to move this with this tractor, because this thing is truly heavy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it or not. Even with as much weight as I can hang on the weight bar in the front, I don't know if this is going to want to move or not. Just want to find out. Oh, yeah. Every time I think this Puma can't do something, it just does it. This is a fantastic tractor. There we go. You just hang out there. Turn you off. I'll leave you hooked up so you don't go sliding away on me again. A little story about the Puma for those of you who may not know. This particular tractor here was not one of the original tractors that came with the farm. You know, you get the starting equipment when you first download a farm and you first start playing on it. I did about 44 episodes on this and had was starting to do some serious editing, some serious map editing, and broke the map. Duh. And pretty much lost everything and basically had to rebuild the map. And I said, well, if I'm going to rebuild the map, I want to do it with tractors that'll make the process a little quicker. Still took about a week. And this was one of them, and I've kept it. You know, it's got 202 hours on it, 202 real life, you know, hours on it. Those are real life hours. I didn't edit those. That's how much I really enjoy, you know, this tractor. It's a fantastic. It's an in-game tractor, you know, in-game Farm Sim 15 case Puma, but it's great, and I really like it. It's become a valuable member of the Old Ridge fleet here. Okay. Oh, I can't leave this here. I can't. I don't have another tractor. Okay. I don't have another tractor to run the tedder, so very good. Oh, Roy, what do you keep slipping on over here? There's nothing on this field for you to be slipping on. Not you. I got a lot of stuff on this farm, too. Some are just set pieces, you know. Some of them are actual things. Oh, I know why you're slipping. You're slipping because there's a lot of undulations in this meadow. Oh, yeah. And because he's not lifting the mowers enough, he's catching the trees on the end of the meadow. There's not much I can do about that. So. Yeah, this field's in pretty good shape too, so I'm happy about that. This is the last of soil mod grass. I don't think I'll be planting soil mod grass when I plow these up again. I like the soil mod grass, don't get me wrong, but I don't need it so much, you know. I have markers for every field. I have courses for every field. I've been on this map long enough that I have all of that stuff, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, then you got into the logs too, apparently. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I just made a mess over there. No, I'm okay with him cutting around, you know, a little bit off the edge. That's fine. No worries about that whatsoever. You know, I apologize for the fog. It's not the best day to see stuff, you know, here in Old Ridge. But I work when I work, and if the weather's the weather, you know. The only way I would stop doing this is if it started raining, and according to the weather, if they can be believed, it's not going to rain until Saturday of next week. So, okay. All right. Anyway, back to the Puma, and we will go Ted the new meadow, as I call it. No, where's the exit to the field? There it is. So foggy I can't see. I can't see anything. Question being, where is the tedder? Where is the tedder? Is the tedder? I don't know. It's been a while since I've used it. I try to keep all the dairy stuff together, like the, you know, the tedder and the baler and the, you know, the rakes and all that stuff. So I'm hoping that I parked it over here. The mowers. You know, then all the arable stuff goes up at the main farm. Although, to be honest, this really is the main farm now, except that it doesn't have a house on it. That's the only difference. Okay, Tedder, where are you? Not that I can see 10 feet in front of me because of all the... you're not over here. Okay. So you're not over here. That means you're over in the dairy extension. Very good. This fog is awful. And you know, yeah, I should be used to it because this is how we get it, you know. It just comes down and lays down a blanket over this end of the valley, and it's just, it makes it very hard to you know, even the sun doesn't get through it, so it makes it very hard to work. Where's me tether? Oh, I gotta muck out too at some point today. I don't want these guys to have to work all day today, you know. I had them work half a day yesterday. I figure if I can get them to work half a day today, I'd be happy, you know. Because, there it is. My bigger tedder that I had to buy. Because the little one was just taking too long. You know, there is a point to be made for efficiency. I'm also looking at a baler wrapper rig now. Because, you know, I make so many silage bales. That was 400 silage bales over there. At the end of last fall when I did my last cut. So you can see how many bales I go through. So, you know, a baler wrapper wouldn't be a bad idea. Cut down on some of the, you know, the more step intensive jobs. You know, mostly everything I buy is used. Whether it be demo used, whether it be truly used, like the Fent. You know, that rake was pretty used when I bought it. Just because I just can't justify. That rake, that Swadro rake to buy brand new, would have cost me, God, I don't know, 85,000 pounds, I think. I'm not paying 85,000 pounds for a rake. It cost me 40,000 pounds for a used one, so. All right, I think 8 miles an hour is fast enough. Got to go at a little bit of speed, otherwise you're not turning the grass enough. Oh, have you finished work, Mike? Okay. Well, you had a long break, so you might as well take another one for a minute, and I'll get you over on another field afterwards. Probably what's going to happen is I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish Ted in this meadow, and then I will get Mike there on the next field, and then we'll call this a stream. If you don't catch this on Twitch, don't worry, it will go up on YouTube under the regular Old Ridge Farm playlist. Yeah, that's the word you were looking for. You know, and like I said, once a week probably. You know, once a week we'll be here, once a week we'll be on Drummer, once a week we'll be, you know, well, and then the other days we'll be playing different games, whether they're racing games, whether they're, you know, building games, whether they're, you know, management games or whatever, you know. And yes, there will occasionally be members of the Monkey Show along during the weekend. Of course, we always stream together on the weekends, you know, so definitely want to keep an eye out on the channel, keep an eye out on YouTube, keep an eye out on Facebook, keep an eye out on Twitch to see what BP is going to be up to next, I guess. And I would have been on Discord so that you could hear my friends in the background today, but I forgot. So, you know, Old Ridge is going to be a continuing thing, obviously. The story will be continuing. It'll continue to evolve. Things will continue to happen and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, and we'll just do it live now, as opposed to doing it in recordings. And, of course, like I said, if you can't watch it at, you know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my time, Eastern Standard Time, you know, once a week, the videos will go up immediately after the stream is over. So you can always catch it on YouTube at your own convenience. And I appreciate everybody coming and everybody stopping by and everybody, you know, watching. And hopefully everybody enjoys, you know, the Old Ridge Live sort of thing that we're going to have going now. This is a good size meadow. I get probably 45% of my grass and my silage off of this one meadow. So I'm very glad that I turned these into meadows. I'm also very glad I bought this big tedder because this would take a long time with the small tedder. And I did it with the small tedder for a long time too. Ugh, weather, right? Go figure. Warm and sunny. for the next 4 days. Mm-hmm. Except for today, apparently. Where it's going to be foggy and cloudy. Oh, on a day I want to do hay. Oh, well. Oh, well. I'm glad I'm turning it. Going to have to turn it again, you know. To get it, as dry, at the moisture level that I want it at. So that I can get the best bales out of it, get the best feed out of it. These guys over here, this construction crew, this excavating crew, seems to have been taking a bit of a vacation. They haven't been doing anything over there for the past week. They got it all barricaded off, too, so I know if I go over there and I climb over the barricade that, you know, I'm either going to trip some kind of alarm or somebody's, you know, the police are going to come and be like, VP, you're trespassing. Yeah. What I'm scared of is I know they're going to cut down those trees on the edge. And I'm afraid one of them, you know, obviously I'm sure these guys know what they're doing, you know, and I have no problem with them. It's not their fault that, you know, that Crawford Brown, you know, or Old Ridge Financial Holdings or whoever's in charge of this now, you know, hired them in. It's not their fault. I'm not angry with them. But I'm just afraid that tree's going to drop on this side of the meadow. Because they're pretty close to the road, so... But like I said, I'm sure they know what they're doing. At least it's been quiet over there. You know, we did manage to get the blasting moratorium. If you guys remember from a few episodes back, they had come to me and said, well, we're going to start blasting over there because we want to level off this cliff face a little bit. There's a big shale sort of cliff face that they wanted to level off a little bit so that they could put a couple more houses back there. And I was like, absolutely not. No. You're going to blast 1,000 foot from my dairy. When I've got, you know, calving heifers, and I've got calves, and I've got cows in general. What do you suppose a cow is going to feel about that? Now, cows are pretty docile animals, and they're used to the general noise of the farm. You know, you could drive tractors around them. They're not afraid of that or anything like that. But all of a sudden you start blasting. Well, what are the cows going to do? I can't have cows bolting. I can't have cows busting through fences. I certainly can't have cows losing calves because they're terrified from the blasting. So I went to Mike, and I said, listen, can you know, maybe get the council to do something about this? So they put a moratorium on the blasting during calving season, which will go for another 3 weeks or so. Okay, well, I tell you what, I don't care. They're not going to blast over there, period. So, you know, and they've been taking, you know, like I said, they've been off now for about a week. There hasn't been anything going on over there for a week. There's been cars go by, pull in, you know, once in a while. Maybe it's Mr. Crawford Brown or whoever his associates are. I don't really know. But, you know, there have been cars in and out of there, but there haven't been any, there hasn't been any actual work going on. And I would imagine there's going to be a lot more equipment moving over there, too. So they can do whatever they want on that side of the hedge. They come on this side of the hedge, they're on my property, then you're going to deal with me. It's that simple. You know, and again, I could just be being paranoid, you know, and I've said this, you know, a couple episodes back, too. I could just be being paranoid about this. You know, maybe the people that move over there will be fantastic, and, you know, they won't have any issue with, you know, the dairy blowing upwind and the cows lowing at 5 o'clock in the morning, and me, you know, out here mowing at early hours and late nights, and, you know, maybe the dust that occasionally blows down from this, you know, because the predominant winds blow this way. So, you know, maybe they won't have any problem with it. Maybe they'll be fine. You know, maybe they'll come over and, you know, bring their kids over and you know, be like, oh, look at the cows and this is a farm. And that would be that's the best case scenario. That would be the absolute best case scenario. I would love that, you know, to no end. I hope that's the way it works out. But because I'm me and because of my experience with the Crawford Browns and this whole sort of situation, I'm not holding out a lot of hope that that's the way it's going to go. Good old Pottinger, in-game tether being weird, folding up on that one edge. I swear about a year and a half ago they came out with an update that was supposed to fix all that, but whatever. Of course, it could also be the way I have the GRLE file for this particular meadow, so who knows. If I can't figure it out, I blame it on myself. Yep, that's you. You broke it. Okay. As long as I think still physically teds this grass, I'm happy. Then I have to decide if I'm going to slurry these meadows. Now, right at the moment, the nutrient, the N level is very good for me. I like a high N for grass, so it's good. It's a little acidic, but again, I'm not messing with it because it's too easy to go too far the other way into alkaline, and then you're in all kinds of trouble. The pK level's fine for grass. The moisture's pretty good too. I may not slurry these meadows. We'll have to have a, well, you know, because obviously this hay is gonna have to sit here now for at least a day, probably a day and a half. Once this fog burns off and the sun comes back out and it gets hot again and it gets dried out to the right moisture level. So we'll see what the fields look like in a day, day and a half. I also have corn to spray. I did plant one sort of test plot of corn. The guys from UK Agri and Chad got together and are introducing me to a new piece of equipment. Basically what it is, it's called a silo baler, I think it's called. And basically what happens is you'll run a forage wagon next to it, blow the material directly into the baler, and it makes bales out of the material. And it was something that the UK Agri guys have been talking to me about for quite a while. You know, and so they got in touch with Chad, being a local dealer. They brought one down, you know, and Chad was having a go over it and everything. And he was like, yeah, you know, he says, they want you to take a look at it. You know, it's on demo, you know, cut a field with it and let me know what you think. So probably in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, somewhere around there, I'll be cutting that field of corn, and we'll be having a look at that thing and seeing if that's something that I want to do. Apparently it puts out big square bales, you know, compacted chaff, silage basically, right? So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how that works. See if I like it or not. I'll go up and borrow Mike's Krone 580 for that. And then I got to decide what I'm doing with about a forage harvester, whether I'm going to buy one or whether I'm going to keep hiring them or I'm going to bring in contractors. I don't really know. I'm still trying to decide what the most cost-efficient thing to do is. Whether it's hiring the contractors, which isn't outrageous, you know, especially since we do. They basically just bring the chopper. We do the carting ourselves and the compacting and everything ourselves. Or do I don't know, do I go to a trailed unit, which is, you know, considerably cheaper than a self-drive, but not as efficient? Or do I try to find a used self-drive? The problem is with a used self-drive is that really the only person I'm going to get one off of is a contractor. And obviously, for a contractor to make money with them, they got to run constantly. And they're generally, by the time they get rid of them, because they're completely knackered. You know, they have 20,000 hours on them, and they're just, you know, completely worn out. And you're still paying a fair amount of money for them. So I don't know. I know I need to come to a decision pretty quickly, though. Oh, this is so much quicker with this tether. See, efficiency. Occasionally you gotta spend money to be more efficient. You know, Perry and Phil were the ones that were on me about this. They were like, BP, listen, you gotta get a bigger tether. We ted so much grass. You know, you gotta make it a bit more efficient for us, so. Roy and Mike are done. Okay, well, it's 6:41 in the morning. Why don't you guys, you know, have a cup of coffee, smoke them if you got them, and I'll get back to you after I'm done with this. Because I probably would very much like those guys to work till 12, 1 o'clock today. Take the rest of the day off, be in, you know, 5 o'clock tomorrow morning and hit it hard tomorrow, finishing up the fields that need to be injected and cultivated, finishing up the grass. I'll go around and ted it all, rake it all up, bale it. And then we can stack up all the bales. Now, again, this is going to have to sit, so probably, if it's Sunday, probably be baling this on Tuesday, I think. I hope. I'd like to be baling this by Tuesday afternoon. That's the goal. We'll see how that works out. So as we're getting ready to finish off this field, let me say this. Thanks to everybody who showed up. You know, hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this. Like I said, it's going to be a once-a-week thing, Old Ridge Farm Live. But during the week, there will be other games that I play live from now on. And all the videos on demand of this are available on Twitch, and they will be available on YouTube immediately following the stream, or immediately as I can get them uploaded anyway. You know, YouTube being YouTube, and however long they decide they want to take to upload it. So if you don't catch it live, you can always catch it on YouTube. And if you want to watch it right away, and say you came in at the end and you're like, oh, what did BP ramble on about for an hour and a half this time? You can always check out the VODs on Twitch, and you know, If you're not followed, make sure you follow. If you're not following me on Facebook, make sure you follow me, Bipolar Prophet Gaming, on Facebook. If you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, and I'm sure everybody is, you know, but if you're not, you know, make sure you subscribe to me, Bipolar Prophet, on YouTube. Make sure you check out everybody in the Monkey Show. All their links are in the description of every video that I put up, as well as on the Twitch page. You know, they're all fantastic guys. They're all, you know, great friends of mine. They all do different things. They stream, they make videos, you know. We all play different games, and you know, and like I said, you're probably going to see, you know, members of the Monkey Show, my friends. You're going to hear them in the background. You can see us playing games together during the week as well, because why not? But hopefully you guys will enjoy this this new sort of format of Old Ridge, the way that it develops, the way that the story develops, you know, the way that things go on. There's always farming to be done on Old Ridge, whether it's story-driven or not. The dairy's too big, they need too much stuff. I'm always going to be doing something on Old Ridge, one way or the other. And there we go. That's done. Excellent. B, V, and X. Fold that back up again. And we'll watch that fold up. So you go, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. As always, let me know what you think. You know, you can leave me a comment on the YouTube end of this, where I put it up on there. Hit me up on Steam, hit me up on Facebook, you know, however you're most comfortable in contacting me. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for watching. Thanks, David, for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I'll be talking to you in Discord in a couple minutes, David. And thanks to everybody, and have a very nice day, everybody. And this is the Bipolar Prophet saying, see you later.